Hi everyone, and for those who came in late, Expand the Fandom podcast and Chronicle Chamber, upon finding out that Moonstone are getting back into creating and publishing fandom comics in 2024, asked regular contributors to do their review of their favourite Moonstone book and indicate what they're hoping to see more of from Moonstone in this new direction they're taking things in 2024. So for my choice, I've chosen the Phantom KGB Noir series, but I've chosen this particular iteration of it, which is the hardcover, great quality Moonstone trade paperback graphic novel, which is a collection of the KGB Noir short stories. And why I've chosen this one in particular, I'll get to in a second. But the story itself, KGB Noir the Hammer, under the pen of Mike Bullock, so a known Phantom writer who knows the character, cares about the character, and that comes through in his writing, has been partnered up with Fernando Peniche, which was at the time a new artist that was getting tried out by Moonstone. And so that's another part of the story that I like. It's in the black and white noir style, so the art is very clean to Fernando's original intention. And what I like about this is it reads like a movie. Okay, so we've got a Phantom action movie without having a Phantom action movie. It's a bit, he's fighting the KGB, he's saving the United States, the world is at risk, and the Phantom is the only one who can possibly save the world. Why wouldn't we like it that way? And there's some great scenes in it and fantastic action the whole way through. It really reads like a non-stop action blockbuster. Phantom, taking on the Ruskies, saving us from nuclear Armageddon. What more could you possibly want, right? Great writing, good art, but in this edition, not just because you get to read it all at once, but in this edition, at the back, there's some work in progress from Fernando, some alternate layouts that he had for some of the chapters, and there's this great little closing comments in there from Mike himself, telling the story behind the story. And this is why I like this issue, because originally, he wrote it intending it to be like a script. He said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we had a Phantom movie, animated movie, that we could then turn into a graphic novel for Moonstone? And then he went, let's cut the middleman out. Let's just write the graphic novel, like a movie, and it's the novelization of the film that never happened. And so he's created his own destiny. The intention for Mike when he did this was to re-partner up with Rubén Procopio, fantastic artist who has done the Phantom in the past to high regard. Rubén, victim of his own success, was keen to, but unavailable on the timeline that they needed to get the work done back then with Joe Gentile. So they gave Fernando a go, and he knocked it out of the park. And I like looking at this because I also like thinking about how Rubén, with his style, would potentially have tackled the same story and those same action scenes. It's a great book. It's a fantastic way to sit down and read it, because you're sitting there and reading it how it was intended to be done, as a one and done, sit there and read the whole way through, but a serialized story. Originally, Mike wrote 3 22-page stories. Because they were trying out this KGB Noir style, and for those that remember the double shot versions of these books when they first came out as individual issues, there was 2 stories in each issue. One wasn't the Phantom, it was another pulp hero, and the Phantom ones were 12-page chapters that came together to make the Hammer story. This book captures them all in one spot, puts it in great condition and in a beautifully presented style. Really good quality book that looks fantastic on the shelf. Easy to bring down on a rainy day or a nice summer day with Christmas coming up, and leaf through and read it and enjoy it, and have a lazy afternoon sitting in the hammock and reading the Phantom if you're in Australia or in the Southern Hemisphere, and if you're our wintry cousins to the north, staying away from the snow, recovering from the holiday turkey, getting back into this book. The other thing that I really liked about this is the picture it finishes off in the end there, which you can see some fantastic work by Fernando, is this great perspective shot of the Phantom. They're holding on to a ladder, probably underneath a helicopter, and with that cityscape dropping away below him. And that was a trial shot that he did as an audition piece for Joe and Moonstone. Didn't fit in with the story, was hoping it might have been a cover somewhere. who knew Moonstone ran out of pieces they could use for alternate covers? The completest among us know that wasn't a thing. But it motivated the writer so much, and that Mike always wanted to write the story based on that picture. This appeals to me for a couple of reasons. One, as a fan, I want more. Two, as a creator, I know what that feels like. I've worked with artists, and some of the work that you've seen, some of the work that you're going to see, and some of the work that I hope that you're going to see. And between what the writer comes up with in their head and puts it to words on a page, and the artist adding their part to the storytelling, and bringing back a better idea and evolving your idea, has been the motivation for me to write different stories based on the suggestion back from the artist. In some cases, it didn't fit in with what we're trying to do here, but now I want to write that story that goes with that picture. And that's what Mike has said to Fernando, that he wants to do with that picture. So Moonstone, that's on my Christmas list. I've been a good boy. Check Santa's list. Let's get the story behind that picture. Otherwise, in the meantime, till we do see what Moonstone brings out, do yourself a favour, to quote the man in the hat. Find your KGB Noir, dig up the hammer, and enjoy the hammer falling. Happy fandoming. Merry Christmas.
Books. As you can see, I'm looking at the Phantom Annual #1 from Moonstone. I've got a couple of covers here. The main issue as well as the variant cover. I do like the variant cover. It's a really nice image from Rubén Procopio. I do love any time that the artists show the phantom eyes blurring through the dark like that. We'll come back to that because I'm not going to read this one because I've read this one, which is the main cover, and tells us that the story is 5 Days of the Dragon, the Phantom Annual from 2007. So 10 years of publishing excellence. Now I'm on the record as saying I've missed out on Moonstone through the 2000s. Just lived in the wrong part of the world to be picking up these comics, and this is one I have picked up since, and really enjoyed reading it over the last weekend or so. Interesting, the cover is by Brett Blevins. Now Brett Blevins is about to take over the dailies, at least in the short term, from Mike Manley, is starting into 2024. So pretty cool to see his Phantom there. Now 2007, as I said, is when this one was released. So Brett has 16 years ago. So I'm sure his Phantom's going to be a bit different, but pretty cool that's on the front cover there as we go. Now, I'm intrigued by this. The moment I opened it, I was intrigued because it's an annual 5 Days of the Dragon. There's 5 chapters, and there's 5 different authors and 5 different artists, 5 different creative teams basically throughout, which worried me, I think, from the first instance. I'm like, oh, how is there going to be any consistency here? Now, what I liked is, in terms of consistency, all the stories are led by the same person, Terry Boyle, which is pretty cool. But more importantly, the project is coordinated by Mike Bullock and Ron Marz. Now, Ron Marz, you go back and look, he wrote chapter 1. Mike Bullock has written chapter 5, and then we've got a few creative teams in the middle. So from that point on, I was like, oh, this could be really well organised if the person who wrote chapter 1 and chapter 5 are in on it and can guide the rest of it. But I was still intrigued to see how it turned out. Now, each of these, and I haven't actually looked, I should probably see how many pages is this thing. It may not even tell me how many pages the story is. I can't remember seeing page numbers, it doesn't look like it. So, not sure how many pages, but it is 5 stories about those, I don't know, it feels like about 12 to 14 pages each story. And basically, to summarise, what we've got is an ancient Chinese myth, I suppose, of an emperor who captured a dragon and magically put the dragon into a jade statue of a dragon, and then split that dragon in that statue into 5 parts. And so then what we have is a series, and you can see 12 to 14 pages, that's probably 10 pages, different phantoms over the time. So this is from the Chronicles of the Third Phantom. Different phantoms over the time, recovering or finding different pieces of the dragon jade statue. Now, this image from Rubén Procopio has been used as a chapter marker, which I really like. That's really cool. and we get a little bit of artist work, I suppose, or pencils and that sort of thing of the previous chapter as we go. Now we're going into the Chronicles of the 11th, and this is where the consistency of the letterer is pretty important, I think, in terms of maintaining the style, because the artwork is really different. Like, for instance, and no offense to Rubén Procopio, because as I've said, I really love I love this image. Where are we? I love this image. I don't know that I love these phantoms. I'm not sure about his face in these ones. Not quite at what I expected. But you're not bogged down in it, because you're straight into a different artist. The 11th Phantom, now the artist here, Allan Goldman, I'm not sure if it was written in, but he's depicting this Phantom as having lost an eye. That's not something I recall ever seeing in a Lee Falk story, but this is a graphic, particularly graphic depiction of a story in this one. Nothing untoward is shown. But just the fact that this Bandar warrior, jungle warrior, has gone to the extent of swallowing a piece of the statue, and then it needs to be recovered. It's about to be cut out. Yeah, there's a lot going in, and again we've got a lot of pencils. 16th Phantom for the 3rd chapter. He's now in New Mexico or South America, there somewhere, Wild West, recovering a third part of the jade statue. So again, short and sharp, boom, boom, boom. And then we're into the Chronicles of the 19th Phantom, recovering the 4th piece. This is in Tibet or the Himalayas there somewhere, which is appropriate given what's going on in the dailies at the moment. Cool to see the Phantom there. There really is a focus on the Phantom not killing anybody, and you see that as he comes up against the Thing across, 18 generations, and they're starting to go, actually, we know you never kill anybody. Now, this is probably, unfortunately, I need to say, this is unfortunately a big plot hole for mine. When we came to the Chronicles of the 21st Phantom, that's going to be the end. When we get to the 5th story in the Chronicles of the 21st Phantom, for some reason, he's agreed to bring all 4 pieces of the dragon, which previous Phantoms have recovered, to bring along. I trust you have the 5th piece. Show me the other 4 pieces. Why would he bring the other 4 pieces? I quickly granted a request to see the remaining 4 pieces in exchange for the 5th. I mean, that just seems stupid to me. You wouldn't bring the 4 pieces of the dragon together with the 5th if this was a real thing. So anyway, it's neat for the storyline, brings it all together. We do actually get to see the dragon. I guess that's important after all of the story. We get to see the dragon come to life through the nature of this storm. And then, at the end of the day, it's all's well that ends well. So I really liked the editorial at the end by Mike Bullock. Puts it into perspective that apparently it would seem that there was a lot more going on in putting the story together than it would seem when you just read it. It sounds like there's, logistical nightmares, planning troubles, all the rest of it, a couple of artists who pulled out. So it's cool to get a little bit of that background, and the Ed Rhodes information there as well. So a little bit of an essay by Ed Rhodes, friend of the Phantom, and someone who's really important in putting the Moonstone books together. And if you listen to any of the podcasts we've got with Mike Bullock, you'll find that as well. So a couple of other ads as well for things that are going on at the time. And overall, a really enjoyable read. Something I'm certainly glad I picked up. It's actually a lot quicker to read than a lot of certainly the Team Phantoman stories, because I guess the way the Americans put it together is that the art tells a lot more of the story, and the dialogue and the narration pumps on quickly. Probably doesn't look like that when you flick through chapter 2, but certainly some of the other chapters in particular, it does pump along pretty quickly. So anyway, very glad that I picked up the Phantom Annual #1 from Moonstone 2007. If you can find this on eBay, if you've got it in your collection, dig it out. If you don't have it in your collection, it's worth having a look on eBay. As Moonstone start to republish, I'm sure it's the sort of thing that will come to the fore again, whether it's through their website, local comic book stores, or as I say, through some of the second-hand options. Have a look for it. It's worth looking at. I really like what Moonstone put together, and it's made me think more positively about the Moonstones that are coming out soon. All right, thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of the reviews from the guys, and until next time, happy fandoming. Have a great 2024.
Hello, and welcome to this special review of Moonstone's Phantom Publications. I am Shiv Zabir, and today we are looking at these two books, which are the Phantom Chronicles Volume 1 and Volume 2. So these two were published by Moonstone Books, who is now the topic of discussion because they have just recently got their license back to publish more Phantom comic books, and also with Mandrake as well. And their new comic book will come out next year, so that is very exciting news as well. So let's so to celebrate that, I wanted to talk about their past publication, which are these two. These two explore the Phantom in the prose format, in the form of short stories of the Phantom. And what I find interesting about that, because I am a avid enjoyer of the Phantom in the format of prose, and I have read F1 novels and some other stuff from other countries as well, and especially also in India. So I enjoy the Phantom being explored in this prose medium. So these two books, with different short stories and things, explore the Phantom, like you can see here. So this is also a signed copy by Douglas Glauber, and cover art, as you can see, is one of the fantastic images of the Phantom. So yeah, we have introductions of Wiley Falk's daughter, Valerie Falk Falbo, but that's not. As you can see, these are some of the stories, some familiar names there, like Mike Bullock, or we find Mike Bullock again, and with Ed Rhodes, and then David Bishop there. Then we have Craig Shaw Gardner, who is also famous. All of these authors kind of portray the Phantom in different light and in their own persons in the prose format, and I really love the interpretations of the character in this format. With also the spot illustrations via the spot on illustrations by Rubén Procopio. These are also, it's a fantastic addition to the, and enriches the stories. I love this story by Mike Bullock, the White Knight story. This is also a very nice one, and I recommend some of the others, like the story called Here, There, Everywhere, The Fastest Animal as well. Some of these nice. All of these stories explore the Phantom in different light, and I really enjoyed all of them. And that is a fantastic format to be exploring the Phantom in. And with the spot illustrations, it looks so good. And that is it's fantastic. This is also the Ed Rhodes story, and it is a really great story, and I really love it. So yeah, that is this book. So there's a fantastic exploration of the Phantom, and the number 2 we have here is also a nice exploration of the Phantom in this medium. And this time we have an introduction by Diane Falk, Lee Falk's other daughter, and also have spot illustrations by Stephen Bryant. So yeah, in this book, some of the stories are a bit different, but most of these are fantastic. And my favorites here is the where is it? Okay, one of my favorite stories here in this book is the story called Eye of the Storm. So this one is the story. It's in page 129. So let's go to that page. Yes, that's Mike Bullock story again. This is one of the very nice stories with this nice illustration. It talks about the 13th Phantom, and it is a nice one. So yeah, with these stories you kind of get to see the phantom being portrayed in different, a different light, in a different format. And I really recommend, if you haven't checked these two books out, please do check them out, because they are it's a very different experience because of the it's being a different medium. You kind of get to explore the stories and every theme of the story very differently, because it's not a comic book, and plus the illustrations are fantastic. And that brings me to the main thing that I would like to talk about. It is the fact that these two books are brilliantly done, and it's a very nice mix of original stories and from great authors there, like Mike Bullock or David Bishop or something like that. It is a very nice exploration of the Phantom in this medium, and I hope if Moonstone, after releasing their comics in 2024, they kind of get to also start exploring the Phantom in prose format again. They also did the Generations series as well, which had each of the Phantoms journals, and also some other things they did as well. So yeah, it's something that Moonstone did very best, and I hope it continues if they can do that after getting back their license. So yeah, that's what my thoughts are. Thank you for watching.
Welcome, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year everyone. To celebrate the new year, we have resolutions on things we want to do differently. Chronicle Chamber's resolution is that we hope you get around to read more Phantom comics. This year we have chosen Moonstone Comics because 2024 they will be returning publishing Phantom comics after a decade of much disappointment from other American publishers. The comic I have chosen is issue 0 from the Ghosty Walks series, first published in 2009. In my opinion, this comic is perfect, and I mean perfect, for new fans. It is a great starting point. For old-timer fans like me, and potentially a lot of other listeners, you would know the story. In 1936, a merchant ship is attacked off the coast of Africa by the Singh Brotherhood, led by Kabai Singh. Only the captain's son, the cabin boy, survives the attack and is washed ashore. There, he is found by a band of warriors who take them to their village, where he is nursed. Does this sound familiar? Now, I am a fan of Moonstone, and this comic is a perfect example of why I am a fan of them. Every element of the legacy and lore from the Lee Falk newspaper stories is in this issue and in a lot of their comics. I am confident Moonstone will continue to do this in their new series. Now, for those with eagle eyes, you will notice a couple of small little changes. For me, the biggest change I can see is the year in the origin story by Moonstone, and that is 1531 instead of the more accepted 1536. And they have included the phantom element of the rings made from the cross of Jesus. The other interesting element is that Turan, the bandit chief of the first Phantom, gave the Phantom both rings. In Phantom lore, the skull ring was given to the first Phantom through the Swiss scholar Le Fort. Had one small little mention, which was that the Phantom was given the ring by the Jungle Chiefs. Very similar as what Moonstone has done here. So not much has changed from what Le Fort created in his stories with what Moonstone has in theirs. One of the other two things I love about this comic is a double page spread of the 21 past and present Phantoms. So we have the first Phantom, which is the origin story, which we read in the first part of this comic, where then we get the second Phantom, which is the adventures of getting the Walker's Table. The third Phantom, which is the Le Fort story of the Alexander's Diamond Cup. The fourth Phantom has the fourth Phantom fighting the Barbaria pirates. The fifth Phantom has him fighting John Maruto on his way to finding his wife. The sixth Phantom, which of course is the Jungle Patrol origin and finding his bride, Queen Navarre. The seventh Phantom is Jonka. The eighth Phantom is Queen Heloise, or also called the Hatna Witch. The ninth Phantom is fighting the slavers from the Eastern Dark, which is where we get the name of the Guardian of the Eastern Dark. The 10th Phantom is finding his bride as told by Le Fort. The 11th Phantom is actually from a Moonstone story, which is fighting the pirate from the story which my colleague Dan Fraser actually reviewed. So you will notice that this is the only other time that a Moonstone created story that is outside of what Le Fort and the newspaper stories has actually gotten into this origin comic, and I think that's very important that they are Le Fort first. The 12th Phantom, I cannot personally picture this story. I wonder if any of you listeners can or viewers can. The 13th Phantom is known as a legendary sword fighter. The 14th Phantom, he is rescuing slaves. The 15th Phantom is where he married an opera singer. And for those who want to know what stories have not yet been created, this story has not actually been told by anyone, including Le Fort, Tony DePaul, Tim Phantom, and Frew, or anyone like that. 16th Phantom is the Cowboy Phantom. The 17th Phantom is actually Julie Walker, not her brother. The 18th Phantom is just a generic image. 19th Phantom is a story of, shows the 19th Phantom's brother-in-law, which is Dr. Kerry. And the 20th Phantom is, from what I can tell, is fighting the Singh pirates, and maybe when he lost his life by the sword of Rama, or the knife of Rama Singh. And of course, you then see our 21st Phantom. The next brilliant thing that I like about this comic is the profiles of the character, including the Phantom, Diana, Guran, Chain, who will be making a return in the new series. If you hang about and listen to our next podcast, you will learn more about Chain. And then, of course, you have Devil and Hero. And then you got Camille Kazi, who it looks like to be the antagonist from the Ghost Who Walks series. It'll be interesting whether he returns or not. This comic, in my opinion, shows care and respect to the Phantom, and that pleases me as an old-timer Phantom fan, which many of you listeners have now informed me I now am. Now, this shows respect from them before, but it also puts pressure on them with their new series. But I have faith that they will be able to do that. So, if you are wanting a brilliant jumping on starting point, this comic will be good. Mike Bullock, who you listened to our next podcast, also made reference to this story. And then my colleagues have also given a lot of other stories and comics and books and prose stories that I hope you will enjoy as well. Our next podcast, as I said, is actually an interview with Mike Bullock, who will go into the new series more. And if you loved what they did, you will want to watch and listen to this podcast. If you are still unsure or cautious, hopefully this podcast and also our next podcast will help alleviate those fears. You can find us on our website, which is chroniclechamber.com, our email address, which is chroniclechamber@gmail.com. If you want to be notified of new articles, ensure you either follow us on the various social media platforms or sign up with your email address, and you'll be emailed as soon as something new is posted on our website. We are also on YouTube. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everyone, and crack open a comic and give it a read. Happy Phantoming.